Hi everyone, it's Angel here again. I know that I sent out a voice recording just yesterday, but I wanted to just allow you to see my face and also to just clarify a few items in Module 2. I realized that I didn't do a recording introduction to Module 2, which I'm trying to do in a lot of my courses just to kind of walk you through each of them. So I wanted to just kind of zero in on your research questions first draft and how you might approach that. So what are some steps that you might take? So this is just going to review a little bit about maybe your processing. And Rebecca, I'm going to use you as an example because we were emailing back and forth on your topic. And please, even though I'm going to be out of town, email me questions. I'm still available. I'm still your instructor. I may just be a little bit slower in getting back to you than normal, but I will get there because I know that you guys want to move forward with your research as well. So for the literature review in this class, we really want it to build into your innovative project as you guys head into your innovative project for most people in the fall. So your first question is going to be just an initial draft, and you may change it. You want to kind of narrow down your topic by the end of this week and make sure that that's the direction you want to go. But I want you to see if you can focus on, think about your research as searching for a way to improve your current setting. So whether that is something specific in your class, something specific in a unit, something specific in how you work with your students around a topic, whether it's technology or math or ELA or classroom management, any of those topics that impacts your classroom, impacts your students that you're working with, you want to think about that. So you can ask yourself, what gaps or challenges do you see in regarding to curricular leadership? So you can take that personally and you can say, you know what, I've had to focus so much on ELA and math in these last years, I really haven't even looked at the NGSS. Or maybe your school's the opposite. Maybe you spent a whole year looking at NGSS and you might want to look back at those social science standards that you haven't touched for a little while. And that's maybe where you want to focus, or maybe you want to delve a little bit deeper into something that you're already doing. So what research could you do in order to prepare yourself as a curricular leader within this topic? So if you see yourself in the future as possibly being a teacher coach, what would you want a teacher coach to know or be able to do in their setting in that role? So if you're thinking, you know what, I wouldn't mind being a literacy coach or a math coach or maybe even an administrator in the future who's working with teachers on developing something. Or if you're thinking, you know what, I just want to lead in my department. I want to make sure that I'm leading in such a way in my classroom that I'm really impacting students. So your question will evolve quite a bit. So this is an example of how do I get teachers willing to reflect on and improve their teaching practices. So this was from someone who was serving as a department chair, and when they would do meetings, everybody was just quiet, no one would really share, there was a lot of different challenges going on. So after they did some research, they said, hey, there's this concept called teacher disposition. So as they were looking into reflecting and how do you get teachers to change practice, they said, hey, there are teacher dispositions that exist and those impact how they do it, how they come across in the class, how they decide to reflect. So this is a final draft that wouldn't have been done until much later in the course. So your first draft and your second draft, your first draft is definitely going to occur in Module 2. Your second draft is going to start to emerge possibly in Module 2 or 3. So I encourage you to get into the journal articles because that will give you a lot of great ideas. So as you begin your research, remember that you're going to refine your question, and that's okay. So of course, every time I go into the library area, there's something new. I went in there today and they said that they're experiencing some difficulties, so you want to click here. So this is probably the best route to click. And then I'm doing a cold search, meaning I haven't practiced this. I haven't even seen this page outside of just clicking on it, okay? So we want to go ahead and go to advanced search right from the start so that you can have the multiple boxes. And Rebecca was emailing just a little bit about, well, how do I focus on art and leadership? Can I relate that to leadership changes or movements in art? And absolutely. So just to kind of get you going and seeing what your question leads you. So I typed in art education, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses because I want those two words to stay together on my initial search, okay? And then I'm going to type in leadership and see what comes up. Now this may or may not be the direction that Rebecca wants to go, but I thought let's just kind of see what comes up, okay? So here we're getting a lot of different journals, a lot of different things kind of available. And so I'm noticing that we're getting things outside of education as well. ERIC is a good search journal to use, but we have quite a few. We're not going to search through 750. So we're going to do a couple of things. Because this is a short-term class, I'm going to make sure that there's full text. We want to be able to access full text right then. We also want to make sure that it's a scholarly journal so that it is vetted. And you can see really quickly we go from 700 to 140, which is much more manageable. Okay. Because of the topic, you don't have to really narrow your years. You can search pretty far back. And then there are magazines and reports as well. We could just stay in the academic journals, or we can leave them all in here like this. So when you're looking at these different education journals, we would have to kind of see what works. So here, our education is in the subject matter, so we might want to scan and kind of see what works well. If we wanted to also include high school, we could. So let's see what that does. Okay, and we go down to 21. So maybe we want to start this narrow and then kind of back up, but sometimes all you need to find is one article that looks really solid in the direction that you want to go. Then you'll see who they're citing, how they talked about it, and different things. So one of the things that I found in this is that there are quite a few people who have worked at developing leadership skills of their students in the classroom. And so I was able to find a little bit about that, which was an interesting direction if she wants to go that direction. She may not, Rebecca may decide, no, I don't want to go that direction at all, I'm going to go a different way. So here's one, raising people's self-esteem through leadership activities in art. So this is actually going to be a full study. I'm going to click on the PDF and open it here. And then I would want to read the abstract. I would want to look at what their results are to see if it's something that I want to continue reading. So some of you guys won't get this far until next week, but some of you guys are ready to do this week. So I would definitely read the abstract and say, is this direction that I'm heading? You can also read that just within the results list as well. So when you're in the results list, when you scroll over this little icon here, the abstract will show up right here. And so you can read it without actually clicking all the way in it. So this is interesting, an interesting topic, but you may not be going that direction. So you just want to kind of keep on searching and seeing what works for you. So I know that Matt is interested in maker spaces. That term may have not hit the literature yet, but let's see if it has. Okay, so maker, we're seeing makers together. Let's make sure we put that in the Boolean logic, right? Maker spaces in the library came out really fast. So let's kind of back out, take out the word leadership, and let's find maker spaces. So here are some case studies of some maker spaces already. So 3D printers and maker spaces. The Learning Commons, again, we're doing full text. Now, just a quick reminder that while any of these may be really useful, we want to make sure that we focus in on those ones that are actual studies, that have a methodology, that have a participant area, that have a way that they approach their research, whether it was qualitative or quantitative. And so I picked this one because by the title, I thought, I wonder if that is going to be a how-to article or if it's actually going to be a research study. And so it says, help, my principal says I need to make a makerspace in my elementary library. So when we look at that, we can tell pretty initially if it's a study or if it's kind of a teacher how-to. And I would say let's stay away from the teacher how-tos in all literature reviews because it needs to be an actual research study that was conducted. So while this may be informative to say, okay, these are the steps that I need to maybe make my makerspace, but what does actually the research say about makerspaces? And so I would say let's steer away from anything that's telling a teacher how to do something, and you want to steer towards those research areas where they would be able to inform you based on their studies. So let's take a look at this one. This says it's a case study, so that means they looked at one school, they looked at what they did, and they analyzed the outcomes. So let's see. So we want to look for the standard concepts of a study. You're going to have the abstract. That's great. You have a design or a methodology. Absolutely. So this is actually 6 case studies of librarians that have implemented different types of makerspaces. Okay, it has their findings, and it even has, just some quick information. This is actually an interesting abstract that it has all of those with such definite areas. And so this is from 2014. So the idea of makerspaces and what they were doing in libraries, to see this is maybe an earlier research article, which would be great to see. So you kind of want to see what's out there, what people are doing, but again, you're going to focus in on studies that have been created. So if I was able to kind of look through this, we'd definitely want to look for anything that looks interesting to you, that catches your eye, and then you want to read that abstract to make sure it's right along the lines that you want to. That will also help you refine your question, right? Because if you approach a topic and you think that everything's positive about it or there aren't any holes around it, then you approach it from a certain bias. And so getting into the literature is a little bit easier to see. So this one has has an interesting title, Playtime Hacked. It's an abnormal title for a journal article or a research study. So let me go ahead and pull that up and let's see if it's a teacher how-to or if it is an actual research study. And pretty immediately we can see that it's going to look like a teacher how-to. But one of the things to do is if you do find a teacher how-to that you like, see who they're citing, okay? And so they might be citing people or they may not be citing anybody. So let's go see if they have any references. This particular one doesn't have any references, so that may not be as much help, but you can definitely, I call it mining their references. If you find someone who has a good how-to article, see who they are citing, and that would be a really interesting thing. So in this particular topic, I'm seeing a lot more how-tos. So that first article might be one that you can kind of mine and see where it takes you, okay? So the concept of leadership can be brought in from what you're reading about Switch. It can be brought in from what you're reading from Slutkey or any of the articles in the course. Sorry, now I can see my hair up. And you want to include that in what you're doing. So if you have a topic, say whether it's art education, and there's not a real lot of just passion behind it, or maybe your admin don't even support it, then how might you work with the emotions that are involved? And how could you then help to make change in that area? So you're going to kind of approach it from 2 ways. Remember, we're looking at as a curricular leader. That curricular leader can be of your classroom, of your grade level, of your school site, or just in general as an art educator, as a science educator. So you can kind of take it any direction that you want to go. All right, well, I have talked a lot, but I wanted to just kind of model how if you get into the journal articles and you kind of start to feel around a little bit, do some searches, you're going to find more information to help you decide your question and kind of get that question going, okay? So start with an idea, a gap, a challenge that you see in your setting, get into the articles and just kind of begin searching, see what other people are out there saying. And so the topic that I am really looking at is I'm looking at emotional presence as I give my conversation. And so that's what I did. I got in, I started looking at emotional presence and kind of what was going on. I wanted to see how emotions were present and online. And so I'm really excited about this topic, and I hope that you find your topics really exciting as well. You'll be working closely with them over the next 6 weeks or so. And so let me know if you have any questions, and I will be online starting on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just kind of working, going through emails and grading for everybody, okay? All right, have a great week, and I will talk to you later.